The River of Doubt, a true story of survival. Hook. In 1914, a former president of the United States disappeared into one of the most dangerous jungles on Earth. The jungle was silent. Not the peaceful kind of silence you might imagine, but the kind that felt alive, watching, waiting. Thick vines hung like ropes from towering trees. Insects buzzed in endless waves, and somewhere in the distance, something large moved through the undergrowth. The men standing at the edge of the river knew something was wrong. They had maps, supplies, and one of the most famous leaders in American history guiding them. But what they did not know was that the river stretching before them had never been fully explored. No reliable map existed. No one knew where it led. Some believed it led nowhere. Others believed it led to death. And yet, standing at the front of the expedition, staring into the dark current of that unknown river, was a man who had already lived several extraordinary lives. His name was Theodore Roosevelt, former president, soldier, explorer, and soon a man fighting to survive. The man who refused to slow down. By 1913, Roosevelt was already a legend in the United States. He had served as the 26th president, led the famous Rough Riders during the Spanish-American War, and reshaped American politics with energy few leaders could match. Most men, after leaving the presidency, might have settled into a quieter life, writing books, giving speeches, enjoying their reputation. Roosevelt had other plans. He believed life was meant to be lived boldly. Adventure, danger, discovery, these were not things he avoided, they were things he chased. So when an opportunity appeared to explore parts of the Amazon rainforest that had barely been mapped, Roosevelt didn't hesitate. He accepted immediately. His destination would be the wild interior of Brazil, near a mysterious river known only by a haunting name, the River of Doubt. Into the Amazon. The Amazon rainforest is the largest jungle on Earth. It stretches across millions of square miles and holds more plant and animal species than anywhere else on the planet. But in the early 1900s, much of it remained unexplored. Maps showed blank spaces. Rivers appeared and disappeared. Entire regions had never been visited by outsiders. Roosevelt's expedition was organized with the help of Brazilian explorer Cândido Rondon, a legendary figure known for mapping unknown territory and building telegraph lines through the jungle. Rondon believed the River of Doubt flowed through a remote region that had never been properly charted. If Roosevelt's team could follow it to its end, they would add an entirely new river to the map of South America. It sounded simple: follow the river, map the course, return home. But the Amazon had other plans. The journey begins. In late 1913, the expedition began traveling deeper into Brazil. At first, the journey felt manageable. They rode horses across open land. They passed through small settlements. Supplies were plentiful. Morale was high. Roosevelt wrote enthusiastically about the journey, describing birds of brilliant color, vast rivers, and endless forests stretching beyond the horizon. But as they pushed deeper toward the jungle, the landscape began to change. Roads disappeared. Villages became rare. The forest grew thicker, darker, and more hostile, and eventually they reached the beginning of the river. It looked nothing like the explorers had imagined. The water was dark and fast-moving. Sharp rocks broke the surface. The current roared through narrow passages. The river of doubt did not look welcoming. It looked dangerous. Still, Roosevelt smiled. This was exactly the kind of challenge he loved. The first signs of trouble. The expedition built canoes and began traveling downstream. At first, progress was steady. They mapped bends in the river, recorded wildlife, and documented the geography of the region. But within days, problems began to appear. The river was filled with rapids. Massive rocks blocked the water. Entire sections were impossible to navigate. Instead of paddling smoothly downriver, the men were forced to drag heavy canoes over slippery stones. Sometimes they had to carry them through dense jungle for miles. Each time, supplies grew lighter. Food disappeared faster than expected, and the river only grew more dangerous. Then one morning, disaster struck. A canoe slammed into a hidden rock. Within seconds, it flipped. Crates of supplies vanished into the rushing water. Food, tools, equipment, all gone. The men stared silently as the river carried their survival gear away. They were hundreds of miles from civilization, and now they had far less food than planned. Roosevelt understood immediately what this meant. The expedition had just crossed the line between exploration and survival. A jungle that wanted them gone. The jungle was relentless. Mosquitoes attacked day and night. Some carried diseases like malaria. Others left painful bites that refused to heal. Heat and humidity drained the men's strength. Boots rotted. Clothes fell apart. Even simple tasks became exhausting, and the river refused to cooperate. Rapids appeared constantly. Canoes shattered against rocks. More supplies disappeared. Each day, the expedition moved slower. Each day, their food ran lower. And deep in the jungle, something else lurked. The expedition had entered the territory of isolated tribes who did not welcome outsiders. Sometimes the explorers found arrows stuck in trees, warnings, silent messages telling them they were not alone. The men began sleeping with rifles beside them. The jungle felt alive with unseen eyes. Roosevelt falls ill. Weeks into the expedition, the greatest danger arrived. Not from animals, not from the river, but from disease. Roosevelt developed a fever. At first, he tried to ignore it. He had always been strong, physically tough, able to push through exhaustion. But this was different. The fever climbed higher each day. Soon he could barely stand. Doctors believed he had contracted malaria combined with a serious infection from a leg wound. The illness weakened him quickly, and in the middle of the jungle, medical help was impossible. Roosevelt realized something terrifying. He might not survive the expedition, and if the team slowed down to care for him, the entire group could starve. So one night, he quietly told his sons something shocking. If he became too weak to travel, they should leave him behind.